Independent suspension, front and rear-wheel drive, ideal 50-50 mass distribution and low center of gravity. This is the Honda E. Honda first displayed the urban EV concept in 2017, and 2 years later, at the Frankfurt Motor Show, the production version of the Honda E debuted. The concept was a three-door with huge wheels and flared fenders. It communicated with the user through a graphic display between the headlights, where the grille would normally be. It featured suicide doors and two benches going across the front and the rear of the car. The production version had to be toned down a bit, and a rear pair of doors was added for some real-life usability. However, as far as I'm concerned, this is still a great modern homage to the early generations of the Honda Civic. In fact, the Honda E may look small, but it is the size of the third-generation Civic. If you don't have a brain littered with car dimensions like many car journalists do, here are the dimensions. It's almost 390 centimeters long, 175 centimeters wide, and the wheelbase is 253 centimeters. Cars like the Citroën C3, Opel Corsa, and the Renault Zoe are longer than the Honda E, but the Honda is wider. The Honda also has longer wheelbase than the Skoda Fabia, and it is about the size of the current generation Toyota Yaris. And the Honda E is actually bigger than the Suzuki Swift. Gone is the concept display between the headlights, but the car still has a friendly face with round LED headlights doing a welcome spin. On the ring are day running lights and indicators, while the center is the main beam. These are full LED headlights. Also, the rear lights are LED and they are round, unlike the squarish ones in the concept. From the side, the floating roofline remained, but the wheels are clearly smaller than in the concept. The 17-inch wheels on this test car are optional, 16-inch wheels are standard. Carried over from the concept are the cameras instead of wing mirrors, and the door handles are hidden for better aerodynamics and more annoyance. Honda boasts how modern its new EV is. It is packed full of advanced features and it is built on a dedicated platform. There is new lightweight and rigid design, and yet the competition somehow manages to offer larger cars that offer more space, more range, and if not less, at least similar weight, which is about 1600 kilograms. And Honda E is on the heavier end of the scale here. Subjectively, the Honda E style is worth many sacrifices, but objectively, most EVs currently on sale are just better. More about that in a moment. I'll start with the boot. The volume is laughable 171 liters. A Smart 4.2 has almost 100 liters more. Like in most EVs, a lot of space is taken up by charging cables, which you may or may not need depending on your lifestyle and the infrastructure where you live. But seriously, if you want to put anything substantial in here, fold the rear seats for 861 liters of cargo space up to the roof. They even put two shopping bag hooks here, but they are useless unless your shopping bag is about 15 centimeters long. Under the floor there is a place for the tire repair kit and a warning triangle. That's it. On the inside, the Honda E looks like from a Scandinavian interior design magazine. The grey upholstery is very pleasant, the seats are soft, and the faux wood elements add to the ambiance. In the back, it's better than one could expect, but not as good as you'd imagine knowing the external dimensions of the car. Sure, you can put someone taller in the back, but rather to prove it's possible than to keep them there for a longer commute. The headliner is concave, just above the passenger's head, making more headroom, but you end up sitting with the legs quite high up because of the batteries hidden in the floor. On the plus side, there are decent cup holders in the doors, two USB ports located by the floor, as well as lighting like you'd expect to find around your favorite armchair. In the front, besides the Scandinavian hygge, apparently that's how you pronounce it, there's also a Japanese garden spread across the entire dashboard. Now this wide display here is a direct carryover from the concept. The concept also got two displays on the doors, which in the production car are more up here next to the A-pillars, and they show the image from the wing mirror cameras. More about these virtual mirrors in a moment. From a practical standpoint, I can't complain. Door pockets accommodate bottles, because why not? Between the seats there is a cubby with removable dividers, so you can either store a small umbrella or put up to 3 drinks in there. Another cup holder extends from the center console, and in front of it are 2 USB, 1 HDMI, 1 12 volt and 1 230 volt sockets. That's a lot of connectivity for charging, obviously. On the console next to the drive selector are buttons for the recuperation, etc, etc. Now the glove box is medium size, but there are physical buttons and knobs for the AC and also for some basic car functions, but the rest of settings are here on the display. The wide screen with the Japanese patio panorama is as impressive as it is unnecessary. The most important functions like sat-nav and energy flow need half the real estate. Honda promises an intelligent personal assistant and voice commands, but in this press car those services are inactive. I also didn't get access to the mobile app, which gives users access to car status, charging and climate control settings, as well as it allows to unlock the car with NFC-enabled phones or to share the car with others. The driver display as well as the steering wheel are similar to those in the Honda Jazz. It's much more intuitive than in the older Honda models. Before me I see data from the trip computer, sat-nav, driver assist systems. Sat-nav directions are displayed also from Apple CarPlay and Android Auto. As this is an EV, we'll have to talk about range. Honda E is available with either 136 or 154 horsepower. The latter version can be ordered either with 16 or 17-inch wheels. The WLTP range on the 16-inch wheels is 222 kilometers, and on 17s it's 210. With 35.5 kilowatt-hour batteries, it's easy to calculate the car should use about 16.5 kilowatt-hours per 100 kilometers in order to get the claimed range. Predictably, it uses more, but it is possible to optimize. For example, if you turn off climate control, you extend your range by at least a dozen kilometers. Also around the city, it's good to use regenerative braking. With regenerative braking on, as you lift off the accelerator, you start braking. You can fine-tune the settings with one of 3 recuperation levels using the paddles on the steering column. On long drives, it's best to coast, but in the city where you stop often, regen braking is the way to go. Regenerative braking is also very useful in hilly terrain. I'm on the Kielce circuit, where the elevation difference between the top part of the forest section and the main oval loop is 34 meters. I have about 700 meters downhill. Let's see how much I can recoup. This section is not very steep, but even with gentle recuperation, I regained almost 2 kilometers range. If you live in an area where there are a lot of hills, you can regain much more on longer, steeper and quicker sections. What's the real-life range? Well, around the city with regen braking, 200 kilometers is a safe bet. However, if you need to drive from one city to another, things get a bit more complicated. It's 193 kilometers from my house to this filming location, so theoretically I should be able to get here in one go, especially as there is a Type 2 charger on location. It's not a public charger, by the way, so, you can't use it. But anyway, I didn't have 4 hours to spare. Along the route, I don't have much opportunity for regenerative braking. Also, I have to get back home on the same day, so instead of wasting 4 hours for Type 2 charging on the track, I decided to use a DC charger to have enough juice for filming and driving back to another fast charger. This is Poland, Q1 2021, and between my home and here, there are several fast chargers. The first one is at a gas station exactly halfway. I'd have to drive another 30 kilometers, get off the freeway, and drive into town to use one of the two other fast chargers along the way. And the last fast charger is about 15 kilometers from the track. Again, I'd have to drive into the city. At my halfway point, my range was down to 55 kilometers. Fast charging takes about half an hour to 80%. Honda E batteries are liquid cooled or heated depending on the weather. This allows for more efficient and more frequent fast charging. I spent half an hour charging on not the fastest but still free charger, and I barely made it to the next one 80 kilometers away. The problem with the second leg of my journey was that it was a dual carriageway, mostly uphill. Going back was much easier. Honda E can also act as energy storage. In some markets, Honda is teaming up with local energy companies to offer vehicle-to-grid solutions to help balance energy use in peak hours. Although you're not buying the Honda E to race it, I did measure acceleration. From 0 to 100 km per hour, the more powerful Honda E should accelerate in 8.3 seconds. I got 8.15. Also, I got between 6.5 and 7 seconds from 80 to 120 km per hour. The less powerful model should do 0 to 100 in about 9 seconds. Both have top speed limited to 145 km per hour, but if you go that fast, you're not going to make it very far. How is the Honda E to drive? Well, on a track like we are today, you can feel this is a heavy car, so it's best to avoid sudden maneuvers at high speed. However, around the city, Honda E is brilliant. It's fast off the line, it's got quick steering, it's very agile in traffic. Honda E is also very maneuverable. The electric motor is in the back, so with less parts under the bonnet, the engineers managed to turn the wheels more. Turning radius is just 4.3 meters, and in order to avoid turning the steering wheel like in an off-roader, Honda uses variable gear ratio steering. There is also a 360 camera, which helps maneuvering. Now let's think about it. This is a rear-wheel drive car, and you can turn the front wheels at a bigger angle than in a normal car. You know what this means? I promised to talk about the virtual wing mirrors. Implementation is good. The screens are where you'd normally glance. I don't have a problem with eye accommodation. Also, when I turn the indicator on, lines appear which help me judge distance from another car in another lane. However, from an everyday perspective, I would probably like to have the screens mounted even higher. A few days ago, I was in traffic and I didn't let another driver merge by mistake because, I had my elbow here, as you do in traffic, and I just didn't see them. If the mirror was out there, I would have seen them. Anyway, I haven't driven the Lexus ES with the optional virtual mirrors, but from what I saw in press materials, the screens are mounted higher, even though they sort of look like an afterthought. But they would probably solve my elbow problem. At night, there is a lot of grain on the screens, but this is not your flat screen 4K TV. Also, the rear-view mirror can be set to display a feed from the camera. It's useful when you have tall passengers in the back, but in everyday driving I prefer a regular mirror. Honda E seems to be over-equipped for a city car. Things like adaptive cruise control or active lane keeping assist sound like an overkill. On the other hand, with 200 kilometers range, realistically you could drive this car for about 100 kilometers every day and do most of this on the motorway. Honda E also has something called the collision mitigation throttle control, which prevents sudden acceleration upon start when there is an obstacle in front or in the back of the car. There is also the lead car departure notification system when you doze off at the lights, traffic sign recognition, automatic headlights. All this costs a pretty penny. Prices start around €34,000 for the less powerful model, and this test car costs about €39,000. If you are looking for something outlandish but somewhat more practical, the Mazda MX-30 starts below €33,000. If you don't mind cheap interior, the Renault Zoe offers twice the range for about the same price as the Honda. Peugeot E208 starts at around 30 grand and its looks are a statement. And if you want to blend in a bit more, the Opel Corsa E starts below 30,000. The Smart 4.2 EQ has laughable range but more boot space and is even better suited for the city. And don't forget the Fiat 500e and the Mini E. If lack of rear doors is a problem, Fiat offers a version with an extra door on the passenger side in the back, and Mini is powered by an early BMW i3 motor, so, well, BMW may be your alternative. With competition like this, the only thing I can say about the Honda E is beautifully designed, full of new tech, and dead on arrival. And how do you like the Honda E? Let me know in the comment section below. If you like my sarcastic, down-to-earth and possibly mildly amusing car reviews, join me every Friday at 3 p.m. Central European Time, and don't forget to subscribe and like this video as it helps me with the YouTube algorithm. Thanks for watching, and I will see you in the next one.